Welcome to Bold Conscious Connections. My name is Raju Panjwani and I'm a certified leadership coach.
And I'm Triccia Ramos, a certified high performance coach. Together, we help business leaders redefine success on their terms to create more space and energy so that they live impactful lives.
Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and understood. So, at a deeper level, we know that the collective consciousness is important to raise in this world, and leaders who are influencers can make that difference. We, in our coaching programs, teach people how to focus on the interconnectedness, heart-centeredness, and growth from within. And this is what this podcast will be about.
So stay tuned and subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey there, if you're joining us, we are here because we have a message to share with you as to what you should really be focusing on in these last few weeks of 2020. And we're also recording an episode for our podcast called Bold Conscious Connections. And today's topic is titled,
We are quitters and we're damn proud of it.
Yes.
So both Triccia and I quit our respective jobs. I quit mine like 15 years ago after trying to figure out whether I want to quit or not for about 5 years. And you quit.
It was almost 2 years ago now, and I quit from a company that I was working for over 20 years.
So the point of this podcast is to share our experiences, but also to really leave you some thoughts about what it took for us to be bold back in the day. Things have changed. Obviously, 2020 has been an unreal year for most people around the world. Certain businesses have completely disappeared. New businesses have come up that never you could imagine in these times. So there is always opportunity. And because we don't focus on opportunities, but the problems and what's outside of us is where we get all stuck in this process.
And so really today's topic, if I were to narrow it down for you, comes down to one word, and that is congruence. Because while it may feel like opportunities are being taken away from you, it's also going to feel like new opportunities are going to be presented to you. And it's up to you to discern between which ones you should take and which ones you should leave behind. And so we began today's conversation by sharing with you how we both left successful careers behind to venture into entrepreneurship and eventually to land here, where we get to serve business leaders like yourself to have more space and energy in your lives so that you can be more impactful.
So we talk about bold and conscious because those are the two elements that you could say that people associate with leadership, right? Bold, you could say courageous, ambitious, decisive. But the two main elements of bold that we particularly believe are important are coming down into your heart-centeredness for a leader who wants to serve others. That's how you create more impact. And the second one is humility, right? Humility being that you can't do it all. And some of the most successful leaders in business and others have been people who recognize that they embrace others and they know there is more to life that what they just have a vision about. You need to work with others and you're not the center of everything. When you take yourself away from the center and are humble about it, that's true servant leadership.
So you're probably already down with that, which is why you're here and which is why you're in our community. So then let's bring in the idea of congruence and how it aligns with that. And congruence absolutely is about alignment. It's about aligning your heart and your head, but leading with your heart, right? So that heart-centeredness is what allows you to move forward and to be able to tap into your intuition. And so when you are not allowing that to guide you, and when you are too much focused on past experiences and using logic to base your decisions on, chances are you're probably not feeling very free right now, and you're probably experiencing a lot of fear that might be keeping you stuck. So this idea of congruence is so important to tap into, because if you continue to do the opposite of what you feel or desire because you think that's the thing that makes sense, your ability to reach your full potential will always be compromised.
So, incongruence, meaning if you're not aligned with in your head and heart, what does that lead to? It leads to lack of fulfillment. You could spend decades in a career or careers, and you still feel like, oh, I'm just not further along, or I don't feel fulfilled. That's indicative of the fact that you're not being congruent.
And when you're not being congruent, not only will you be unhappy on some level, mental, emotionally, but if that goes on long enough, chances are there's going to be physical manifestations of that incongruence that start to show up. I know that was my experience, and I really, before I quit, experienced a lot of fatigue and developed autoimmune issues, and really it got so bad that I actually, it led me to burnout, all the way to burnout, and, failed relationship that finally pushed me to the edge. But, if you were living more congruently, if I was being more congruent, more honest with myself, things probably didn't need to get that bad before I took action.
So, I'd say a few years before I quit, I was already pretty stressed out in a Wall Street career for almost 18 years. And, there's the politics of life. There's all sorts of things that happen in a corporate environment that you can't control. So in spite of achieving a lot of success, you still know that there is something more to life. And you realize that it was one day that I realized that what I was doing day to day was really making it worse for me. My manifestations were in the form of other forms of stress that led to perhaps being a little bit more short-tempered than I would have liked. Your relationships get strained unnecessarily with the family. And it was just not a happy moment. And so I was pushed over the edge, as you know, your case, it was the stroke. And in my case, it was the tsunami. And I was like, oh, do I need a tsunami in my life? And I was actually in the tsunami, and my family and I were swept away in it. But do I need that kind of level of experience to be able to then take action, to be bold? Well, listen, I wasn't even 50 at the time. And I just decided literally after that to say, there's clearly more to life, that life is giving me indications that you need to be doing something different with your life. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I had no clue what I wanted to do as an entrepreneur, but I knew that if I didn't go out and do this now, I don't know when else I would have done it.
So if you're listening to us, you're probably thinking about, what is it that you need to quit? What is it that you need to perhaps let go of or release so that you can bring in what it is that you want more of in your life right now? The thing is, we have to make space before the thing that we want can come in. And this is really a time where you don't need more, you don't need to have a stroke or be in a tsunami. We are living in 2020, the pandemic, lockdowns everywhere. I mean, life as we knew it pre-March 2020 is over. So use this time now and use this moment now to really get into a space where you can take inspired action after inspired action after inspired action and get more clarity on what it is that you want 2021 to be about, so that you can begin setting your vision for that and focus your energy towards building that. But if there's something holding you back and keeping you from feeling congruent, it's time to ditch it.
Yep, absolutely. So, we always talk about, in context of alignment and congruence, be outcome focused. So if you focus on what you are desirous of and where your goal needs to be, so you feel coming from the heart, that's what you want to hold on to, and be very clear about why you want that, because that why, I want to be congruent, and what I want to pursue, because that's something only you can pursue. that no one else can pursue. So find that center for you. And then once you've figured that out, and that's when you take your inspired action. But the fundamental principle is the alignment and congruence of head and heart.
Yeah, and I realize I said it fairly quickly, and I don't want people listening to this to take it as, maybe the thing that you're thinking needs to change is like your relationship with somebody. And it isn't as easy as just like, telling that person, all right, it's done. Because maybe it's your mom, right? Maybe it's your spouse. Or, maybe it's your child. And so it isn't about getting rid of the person, right? But
well, I'm sure you didn't mean that, but address it.
Address it, right?
Yes.
Like really think about what of your current belief about the situation and about that person and about yourself could you destroy so that you can create the future of that relationship, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we just did this exercise with our business and really taking a look at, okay, this is what Live Masterminds was for 2020, and what does it need to be for 2021? I mean, we just did that. We just went through that process because we were tapping into this, there was a misalignment that was happening, and guess what? We're alive, we're dynamic beings, and we're constantly shifting and changing. And unless you really address all those shifts and changes, they're probably going to get in the way of your progress. So any sort of discomfort you're feeling, and I like how you say it, discomfort you're feeling is a signal that,
that change is necessary or for you to get back into anything that you need to birth anew is going to be uncomfortable, right? Those women who are, have had delivered babies, I don't know, I have no idea how that experience is. Possibly, I've only seen it. But that pain that you go through to deliver the magic of life, I mean, it's amazing. So when you're uncomfortable, that's a good indicator that things need to be in alignment or that you're onto something really new.
Yes, and that's why we always say, keep your vision clear and really, really find the reason for why it is you want to do what you want to do. And as long as you're clear on those reasons and you keep them close to your heart, the answers to how you can fulfill that, they'll follow. And that's the stuff that happens with the how and the tactics and the strategies. Right. But you got to begin with the why you're in it for something. And if that why, that reason is not strong enough, there's going to be incongruence happening. And chances are you either got to get aligned, figure out a new direction. And sometimes that new direction is a completely new direction. In our case, we left our corporate jobs to start our businesses. And for you, as you're watching or listening, what would that be for you today?
And remember, the missing piece is really the congruence piece, because most of us go do. It goes from the head right down to the doing, and we end up taking action, a lot of action, which is misaligned with your purpose. So that middle part of being very clear that you're leading from your heart for most things, not everything, clearly, particularly your mission-driven, critical things in your life, that's where you start to really... So take action, but take inspired action. Once you feel inspired through that why and addressing that middle part, then you are going to be inspired to move forward and feel very fulfilled each time you take that step.
I'm glad you brought that up, because taking a series of misaligned actions is really nothing but you being busy. And busyness is nothing but distraction. So being busy is just a way for you to not address what you know you ought to be addressing. And I can say that because I've been there.
Have we not been there?
We've definitely been there. And you know what? It's exhausting and it's depleting. And it probably has you feeling like you have nothing to give to anybody. But you're here because you are someone who cares, and you're someone who wants to do better in your life, and you're someone who wants to be of service to your community. So we need you, your family needs you, your community needs you to be at your best.
Who doesn't want someone who's operating from their highest self, right? I think while we're sounding idealistic, but hey, you got to begin with that ideal in mind as the outcome you want in the world. For the world to be a better place, it needs it. You're needed in this world.
Absolutely. And what's the point of having a vision if it isn't aspirational, right? So hopefully you heard something in here that resonated with you that you can actually do something about. We'd love to hear your comments.
Yes, and if you're on this podcast listening to this, it would be great if you download this, because all the platforms that are podcast platforms like the fact that you download, and like it, share it, subscribe, and build this unity consciousness with us.
Amazing.
So be bold and be conscious.
But first, get congruent.
You bet.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if so, make sure to subscribe, download, and share it with your sphere of influence.
We bring a variety of topics to you, and it's like a masterclass for those topics, and it's all free.
So take a screenshot, share it on your social media, and add the hashtag #BoldConsciousConnections so that we can find you, see you, maybe say hello.
And if you want to deep dive into some of the topics that we bring to you, find us at www.livemasterminds.com and get to know us.
Take care.